Uli na menso amone, uli na matuna nkonfwe, ifi mpasha kwa le saule sosa. Kalanda kudu yo akwashe nyari no kuifisa. Banta washe nyari awifisa iyo.
Ya kuvyala no kusombola mwebe na Zambia Ichili chose chali kwete njita ya chikope samba ya chalo Muhikalisha mufi lamba mulelila Uwacha no waila Sangeni njita ya kubeba Mkusheleza bachalo Ulubuto na lumona Ako akazuka Ako Ibashela vipa nono Inyali yena ya lasanika Ulubuto na lumona Ako akazuka Ako Ibashela vipa nono Inyali yena ya lasanika Nangwa mabya ya kulolu Pyangono kukakawa kayele Ichetekele Inyali yena ya lasanika Ilmotikatane tutemwane tutamvye mwanzaka vinga atochosha muno likalanga bana banjiwa inene sana mumona apa bulave mpauke ikwashana ngepanono inyali yena yalasanika ukubokona kumona apa bulave mpatabuke ikwashana ngepanono yalasanika
Chari shuke chalo chita pari lesi no kutemla lesi uvalesa. Bantu da sango uposushi. Kalanda kudi yoshe ndeka bashwe no kwa pontela. Bantu ena lesa kamupingula.
Mwevale lomba ni mwebo mwala pela. Mwevale kunumba nomba mwala wakundashi. Mwevale se kwa donse ni mwebo mwala sekelela. Ikwashia na pamono inyali yena yala sanika. Bantu kurubuto awewe na wala sanika. Pamakufi Teza kwecho kuneruko kufunga bayo Urubuto awelwe na wala sanika. Urubuto na lumona Ako akazuba Atene urubuto na lumona Ako akasuba mayo Ukwashana vipa nono Inyali yena yala sanika Inelesa na mumona Apa mulabe Ena wamila Ukwashana vipa nono Inyali yena yala sanika Ukuwaka na kumona Wapa mulabe mbakwa buke Ukwashana vipa nono Esa wamila
The Bible says in the book of Isaiah 62 verse 1, For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as lamp that burneth. Thus says the Lord, Arise, Mother Zambia, arise the highest and soar like an eagle. And thus says the Lord, the milk of plenty and honey, the Lord says has given back to the Lord. The covenant of the Lord shall be preserved under Mother Zambia. Zambia. Revisit your stance, Mother Zambia. Never get weary to pray. It is your stance. It is the declaration of the Lord that Zambia is a Christian nation. One Zambia, one nation.
Breakfast. Now, in exactly 36 days, the people of Zambia will be voting, deciding which political party will lead them for the next 5 years come August 13th, 2026. Now, we have continued to give these candidates and their political parties an opportunity to sell their vision for Zambia and its people. Now, joining us this morning on the Diamond Breakfast is the Tonse Pomozi Alliance spokesperson, Mr. Emmanuel Mwamba. Good morning and welcome to the Diamond Breakfast. How are you?
Thank you very much, ladies, and good morning to your dear audience.
Well, our conversation this morning, let's start off here, Mr. Mwamba, with your description of this campaign period. How would you describe the current atmosphere around the campaign period?
It's relatively peaceful other than incidences, and especially the recent 3 deaths reported in John Leng, in Kaputa, and in Magoye West. The 3 deaths are totally unacceptable. Any loss of life in any campaign is highly regrettable. And as you noticed, Honorable Brian Mundubile in Porokoso challenged President Hakainde Hichilema to rise up and condemn the violence and to ensure that the police arrested the perpetrators. For our campaign teams, we've had frictions with the police where they've attempted to stop rallies. You saw something in Chipata, you saw something in Lundazi, you saw something in Impika, Chinsadi, and Isoka, even Nakonde. But eventually the rallies did take place. Other than those 2 incidences, the ECZ calendar is going on very well. We also have negative reports from the Zambia Air Force that has refused to grant authority to members of the opposition to hire helicopters, because we understand there are various stakeholders that approached the Zambia Air Force for air license, and the Air Force has not issued those air licenses, and we are remaining with 36 days. Remember, we have 116 districts, 10 provinces, 226 constituencies to cover, and it's just almost impossible to do that. That way, this process favors only the incumbent and his running mate, because they are incumbents and they have a large fleet of Zambia Air Force planes and helicopters that they have access to.
Now, Mr. Mwamba, I like that you're describing the campaign period as going on just fine. But also, I'd like for you to give us your standing around what we saw coming from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and this is in suspending NRPUP campaigns in Kaputa indefinitely. What has been your reaction to that?
Our issue remains of serious concerns with the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Its composition led by the chairperson, who's a UPND non-member, even the recently recruited member Sinkala, Zebwanji Sinkala, who's a lawyer for the president and who was standing as a member of the National Management Committee and was aspiring to be MP for Luansha. We've expressed consistent concern, one around the composition of the ECZ, the new laws that they enacted, both by the executive in conjunction with ECZ, such as the Electoral Process Act, that has removed security features such as watermark and the stamp that polling staff are supposed to use, and the decision not to allow voters, as soon as they vote, they are supposed to leave the station and not witness the count, and including the reference to PVT, where they've literally, the law is banning parallel vote tabulation. Those remain serious concerns. So this recent action by ECZ just goes in what we've demonstrated, that the ECZ has been there to facilitate the UPND and and the current government to have an easy path and a difficult process for the opposition. So the new laws that have been enacted have been to disadvantage the opposition. Remember even the issues of nominations, where they included in the new law the presence of the registrar of societies. So the banning of the NRPUP campaigns in Kaputa is just going to protect the two foremost members of the UPND from the north, who is Madam Whitney Kapembwa Mutalena Lumango, who's the vice president, and she comes from Kaputa, and one of their biggest campaigner, Elvis Nkandu, who comes from Kaputa, and the two are facing immense pressure where they are harassing, our candidates and our party, which is very strong in the area. And this, remember, even has resulted in the death of one person, a death that we have just regretted. So the ECZ, if it was fair, if it was credible, if it was a neutral umpire, the ECZ would have banned the UPND for its violence in Mazabuka, in Monze, in Choma, in Zambezi, in Chavuma, and recently in Magoe and in Chawama. The ECZ has not done any of that, and you can see that they are clearly biased.
Have you pushed in a complaint or logged in a complaint to the ECZ to see how this can either be overturned or what action can now be taken?
We hope that they respond. We do not want to seek legal redress in the courts of law, but that's where it's going. And as I've said, this action appear isolated and to protect the two strong candidates of the UPND in the North, who's Elvis Nkandu and the Vice President W.K. Mutalena Lumango. If the ECZ wishes to be fair, they should mete out punishment against the UPND, like I've stated, in areas where they've recorded violence and death, such as Chawama, such as Magoe West, and the spate of violence that we've seen against independent candidates, including in Wengwa, Choma, Monze. It's very important that ECZ then acts fairly. They can't be investigating the other cases, but when it comes to areas where the opposition seems to have an issue, they act very swiftly. That's not the action of an independent umpire or independent referee.
Now, in the successful campaigns that you've been having so far, which you are describing that going according to the calendar, how would you describe also the vision that your presidential candidate under the NRPUP, Mr. Brian Mundubile, has been selling to the Zambian people? We've seen him at different rallies speak to Zambians. What vision are you selling to the Zambian people during this campaign period?
First of all, it's good that you've touched on the message, because the messages by the two leading candidates on Brian Mundubile and then President Hakainde Hichilema, we've been very deeply concerned with President Hakainde Hichilema's message. It has now become consistent and a pattern that every time is in areas where is what we would term stronghold, Southern Province, Western Province, Northwestern Province, and Central Province, he preaches a certain message that is extremely divisive. You saw the remarks he made in Skongo, where he said Skongo didn't have any development because of the PF, and that if they were voted back, they would not, they would just be, Skongo remain a backward place. And then he repeated the allegations that every time people from Skongo went to Lusaka, they were beaten at Intercity. A message he has said in Choma and other places. We condemn those tribal and divisive remarks. There has never been a period anywhere in Zambia where people have been beaten at intercity market because they come from a certain, or their bus is coming from a certain area. I think those remarks ought to be condemned, and ought to be condemned very, very strongly. For our candidates, the ticket of Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, they've been very, very consistent with policy and issue-based campaigns. If you have seen, there've been very little or no personal attacks against the president. They are either talking about the debt or farming and farming policy, what we need to do with FRA, how FRA can open the marketing season far earlier, how Ministry of Agriculture should give inputs to our farmers far earlier and inadequate numbers. The message has been consistently developmental, policy-based and issue-based, devoid of insults, devoid of personal attacks against the president. In fact, Brian Mundubile has been very, very polite in his reference to the president. He keeps on calling Umkalambawandi, my elder brother. He keeps on using words of reverence when he's referring to President Hakainde Hichilema. And, so we wish that the other side, who are just insulting the opposition, could do the same. Look at the campaign by the vice president yesterday in Impika. You see what Sevia Chimba said, what Mal Sampa said. They're just barely insulting the opposition, bringing in disrepute the remains of the late President Edgar Lungu, a matter that Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu have largely stayed away. And also we've seen the twisting of messages where Brian Mundubile, for example, was speaking about civil servants that are not committed to work, and the media reports like it's a blanket statement against all civil servants. We're not. So I think we are satisfied with the focus on the message and the bringing of hope to the people of Zambia in that manner.
Mr. Mwamba, with what you're saying here, you say the NRPUP candidate has stayed away from talking about the late former President Edgar Lungu. But others would argue that out because we did hear him. He almost is the one who started this when he said, if they're elected into power, the Tonse Pamosi Alliance is given a chance to lead, they will ensure there's a dignified burial for former president. That's where the bringing in around using the body of ECL as part of the campaign started. So how are you describing it that he's stayed clear of talking about ECL when he kind of started it?
The Tonse Pamosi Alliance has had 22 rallies, and if you watch all the rallies, you can see how absent they are to the issues of even of the late president. Yes, there was a reference because the status of the late president remains a national matter. Occasionally they will refer to it, and the anxieties are around stakeholders that they are meeting. The stakeholders keep on saying, we want to wakwalesa tukashikalilali wa president. So they will refer to that matter again and again, but never as a tool of campaigns, as as a ruling party and its surrogates are trying to put it. And like I've stated, there have been 22 meetings. And you can see at all those rallies, the campaigns have been issue-based, speaking to farmers, speaking to civil servants, public service workers who are highly indebted, speaking to the issue of debt distress and the status of our economy. They've been very consistent, including affirming some of the programs, such as, for example, free education, how Brian Mundubile's government will enhance that free education. That should include free uniforms and shoes and expanded classrooms so that teachers can adequately, the teacher-to-student ratio should be normal, between 30 to 40 pupils, and not the current one, which is 120. So they've been very consistent on messages. Did they start the matter of the late president? No, they didn't. This matter remains on our conscience, or is a stain on our conscience and on our politics that to date we have not put to rest the late president. And occasionally there will be a reference to the revulsion Zambians have that this matter has not been settled, largely due to the poor leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, especially on this matter.
Right. Mr. Mambaso, I'd just like to get this from you. With you being away and not here in the country to actively, make your contributions with the team, how would you describe this campaign period from just your experience and experiencing it from outside the country?
First, to hold democratic, credible, transparent, free and fair elections is a burden on the current government, on the incumbent. It's on the shoulders of President Hakainde Hichilema. And so far, he has demonstrated that the threats are extremely high that Zambia may not hold free and fair elections. Will they be democratic? Will they be credible? Will they be transparent? Will they be free and fair? There are all these concerns, from the bad laws that have been enacted to the harassment of the opposition, to the deplatforming of ourselves who belonged to a certain political party that he ensured that it was destroyed, to all the activities he has done, abuse of human rights, abuse, taking away freedoms and passing draconian laws like the cyber crimes and cyber security. The burden is on the president to deliver free and fair elections. He will not be president today if President Edgar Lungu didn't deliver a credible democratic elections. So the continued attacks on the opposition remain a source of serious concern. That's why I talked about that the Zambia Air Force should allow, if anyone wants to lease or rent either the helicopters or register the helicopter they brought, and we want air permits, that should be given. There are all these issues. ZNBC to date keeps on blacking out the opposition, yet it's a public broadcaster whose space is not like you, which is private. It's a public space. It gets grants from the Zambian government, and with the new ZNBC Amendment Act of 2020, ZNBC now will be collecting levies back straight to its coffers, yet they will not cover the opposition, yet they will not cover the rallies of Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundubile. And every time they are covering the opposition, it's when there is someone who's attacking the opposition. There will be a face of Nevas Mumba or any other character attacking the opposition. That's the only time that the opposition are mentioned on a public broadcaster, which is supposed to be a broadcast station. It's not a state station. It's not a state-owned media. It's a public broadcaster. That was the essence of the amendments that were done to ZNBC Act. So there are all these flautations against a lot of things. But the people of Zambia are determined that even under these circumstances, even under these difficult situations, they will still turn up in large numbers and ensure that they vote and they determine who should lead them in the next 5 years. And we are hopeful that the people of Zambia should not be deterred by all these attacks against the opposition and all these schemes designed to frustrate the opposition. And like for the first time, we have seen that this is refused to pay for stakeholders to go to witness ballot printing, which is being done in Dubai, and members of the opposition had to raise their own money to participate. So they're already defeating all the limbs and principles that drive credible elections, that they should be democratic, that they should be credible, they should be transparent, and they should be free and fair.
It's not the first time, Mr. Mwamba, that we're seeing stakeholders political parties have to cover their own bills to go and witness the printing of ballot papers. So it's not something that has started now. But I wanted to ask, there's a concern with Zambians. One concern that has stayed hanging, and people ask questions around this, was the violence that was seen around the Patriotic Front, and obviously with the Tonse Pamosi Alliance, large members coming with the background of the Patriotic Front affiliation. The worry people have had is this cadreism, the hooliganism that was witnessed around the Patriotic Front. What's the assurance that you're giving the people that that will not come back? If they give the Tonse Pamosi Alliance a chance, people will not be getting beaten everywhere, the records that were given before. by cadres that belonged to the Patriotic Front. What's the assurance you're giving?
First of all, President Hakainde Hichilema has done the best he could have done to our country. What was meant for evil has turned out to be very good. He took over the PF. The PF is with the president, with Mao Sampa and Robert Chavinga. They should be accountable to those issues. This is a new alliance of people. Makebi Zulu has assembled a new team of people under PF Pamosi Alliance, and look at Brian Mundubile with Tonse Alliance. Again, a lot of people from Akashamba to Dr. Chifung Banda and others that didn't belong or have no association with the Patriotic Front. And it's a collection of those values that are truly driven by Zambia. And the opposition, the alliance, the Tonse Pamosi Alliance, as like I stated, has held 22 major public rallies, and they have not perpetrated any violence. In fact, they've been victims either from the state police or from the UPND. And even when they were provoked, there was a lot of restraint, where if you saw where they were attacked or where UPND came in the way, there was a lot of restraint from our side. The violence we have seen is from the UPND. Look at the young man that was killed, Nelson Chikumbi, John Leng. He's just a radio repair, non-partisan. He repairs a radio and he wants to test the radio with his volume and everything, and the song that's playing is Brand Mundubile and Makebi Zulu Vengile, and he was killed. The death of Steven Sakala in Magoye, if you hear what Confucius Mwene, the independent candidate, stated, literally that knife was aimed for his throat. He made last-minute changes, slept in another chalet, and sadly we lost his driver, Steven Sakala, who was brutally murdered in his sleep. And even the case of Humphrey Luisha in Kaputa, although he's UPND, the circumstances are that UPND cadres attacked NRPUP supporters that were at a bar called Pump House Bar. So the attack was never from NRPUP. It was the UPND that went to attack. We don't even know who knifed or who killed Humphrey Luisha. And we hope that the police will be fair in their investigations. So the perpetrators of the violence so far has been the UPND. Just the other day, you saw attacks in Chongwe West where they attacked the ward councillor aspirant, Banda. They attacked his shop and they went with pangas and hammers, and you've seen the videos. The violence so far has been perpetrated by the UPND, whether it's in Chawama, whether it's in Magoye, whether it's in...
Yeah, first of all, I just want to advise my elder brother, Brian Mundubile, wachipani chichinangu ichi, zina palibe, stizvabwina, but I want just to advise him. I've seen you are too much excited. Much as you want to warn or to push your agenda to the civil servants, my advice is this, that 1 month, minimum kambe ya sala, nivo mekeza na him, but simubwela mpawa. I want to tell you, my colleague, my brother, Mundubile, this is a brother advice. You are not coming as Republican president. Not now. Not even 2036. Not even 2041. So that's an advice I'm giving you. 2026, 2021, 2036, up to 2041. You are not coming as a president. That's too very far. In brother advice I'm giving to you, you are making noise. Chongo stilles, but you wambo choka munjira kuruanga. Number 2, that's why naona kuti na yoda brother Kalava could not align with you. But for him, it's better because he has a structure. He has a bit of structure everywhere you go. He has it. That's why he could not align with you. Because he understands certain figures to win an election. But the line you are pushing yourself, you are too much excited. Overexcited. What's the team yan? So nigamba kuti ma civil servant wakaliko alasebenzera wano masebenzera iwe pa ground izaenda pa ground. So don't get overexcited. So bwera manje mdala wanga. I'm just being brother. So bwera manje. Kamba na yini mfana wako so bwera manje. Tankalamu muno Mzambia, tankalamu mu politics. We know what is on the ground. And ukaribe. So my appeal, my last appeal to you, start preparing your mind that this election is so weird. Just prepare your mind. And don't even overthinking to say you are the next president. That the apokabola, tin experience as UPND losing an election. Tin experience here more than you understand yourself. Tin experience you with an election.
Tabakwata manifesto balia ba pompwe ba pompwe banani tabakwata manifesto. They are campaigning on our achievements. Ngamule kutika balelanda pali free education na tusovakale right. Balelanda pali meal allowances na tusovakale. Balelanda pali school feeding program na tusovakale. So vinshi balelanda.
Mundubile. So I'm your malushi, yon samarabish. 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 Tupele mada Zambia, kunga umewafundwa. Tupele mada Zambia, kunga umewafundwa. Muchalo tabulayo, tuleana Mundubile. Twaikala mafara Mundubile. Chor. So I'm your malushi, yon samarabish. 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 Tupele mada Zambia, kunga umewafundwa. Tupele mada Zambia, kunga umewafundwa. Muchalo tabulayo, tuleana Mundubile. Twaikala mafara freedom of speech in Sambuna Shia. Walandako Bagwika.
Hakainde watonde kanadi, Hakainde watonde kanadi, Hakainde watonde Hakainde watondeka nadi. Hakainde watondeka nadi. Hakainde watondeka nadi. Hakainde watitonda nadi. Nkito ni kuyoboya waka. Vila izgo vyose vya waka waka. Kusuzgika kwa kura mwe bantu mwe. Nadi nadi. Hakainde watondeka nadi. Watondeka. 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 Hakainde watondeka nadi. Watondeka.
Errors, debt restructuring, the damage in the mines, law and order. Twali wambulaji mwalunga mujoma mwakwera basi weyakulusaga intercity guseruka buyombo woserukira ate basi ya wakujoma ate vimenye nivi bachoka kuchoma hivi vimenye nivi ati tundu mwezi sing'ombe wakabape abantu bali kumwa ati tundu mwezi ati mbaba hota maningi kuhotela Hakainde amubaome ku intercity sunu yakaba yamwe yakakuba mulaliendela mbomu yanda intercity kunyina umuguma wamuguma ndamwanga banyina bene wabalyawe Zambia, so many things. Although we've done, there are many more things to be done. Tujiyagumbere kubereka. Not to Tarigo, not to Aganka Kuberegono. We've just started working now. We've just started. There's a lot more work to be done. Nyambose Ulia, we just said he needs.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for joining us. Today we started the broadcast by my appearance on Diamond TV this morning at the breakfast slot, and I thought I could share with you because the concerns that were raised by Diamond TV, I think, reflects the concerns in the country about the state of campaigns, where we're going, the state of messaging of campaigns, issues around vote protection and ballot security. I think I thought that we could start with that. The issues of messaging remains of concern. The president keeps on preaching divisive language, especially his statement in Skongo, his statement when he was in Lukulu and Mitete. The statements have been terrible. Then you saw the president use abusive language, calling his competitors as Wapompwe. You know, Makebi Zulu has not been convicted anyway, he's not been arrested. There's no matter against Makebi Zulu. Brian Mundubile, we know they've attempted to criminalize his business, but it has gone nowhere, and he's on the ballot, and he's not been convicted anywhere. So for the president to call, Wapompwe means thieves. You have to be a convicted a thief or a corrupt person by a competent court of law. So you see the president abusing his podium, his office, and sadly, you know, institutions like ZNBC even carry those statements. Mr. President, defamatory, hate speech, and other abusive language is not allowed. They're not allowed in any proper campaigns. You are impacting whether the country will have free and fair elections. You saw on the program that I held Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu that have remained issue and a policy focused in their messaging. They've spoken about farmers, about young people, about women, about small and medium enterprise, about the state of our country, the poor economy, and the numbers that you've so-called achieved and do not in any way reflect the average life of our people. At the moment, the Zambia Statistics Agency is in a process to revise our not to revise, but to rebase our GDP. Remember, this rebase last took place in 2011, 2012. We rebased both our currency and our GDP. And our GDP was revised from somewhere around $10 billion to $21 billion in 2020, in 2011, 2013. And the kwacha, we rebased it, we removed the 3 zeros so that our kwacha could look strong. So President Hakainde Hichilema is in the process of revising the GDP. Remember, he's been boasting that he's going to double the GDP of our country from around $27 billion to $60 billion. So we expect that when the Zambia Statistics Agency finishes, they've already started and they've marked the economy from 2010 to 2023. So then they are looking at the outputs in the various economies. What that does is, for example, the debt they've ballooned of almost $35 billion. If you push your economy and the size to 60 billion, you will have now room to borrow again another $30 billion, because your GDP your debt to GDP ratio will only be around 40-50%. At the moment, it's in excess of 80-90%. And you don't have room to borrow. And so when the revision is done by Zambia Statistics Agency, Zambia can borrow another $20-30 billion. So the revision, I think, sadly sometimes I bemoan that when there is such a major activity, our economies are literally mere vuvuzelas. They rarely pick up such a debate. They rarely use their opportunity to inform the people of Zambia. At this stage, you'll have expected the Economic Association of Zambia to quickly, aggressively come to Zambians that what it means to rebase your GDP. What is its implication? Is it a true value? Has Zambia opened any new factories, any manufacturing plant? Has there been radical changes, or is Zambia remains a trading nation? Has there been growth in our agricultural sector? Has there been growth in our mining sector? Has there been growth in all these areas to justify that our economy is a $60 billion economy? Has there been progress, for example, in the service sector, service industry? That debate can only be driven by institutions like the Economic Association of Zambia, not by Emmanuel Mwamba, but typical of our professional institutions in our country. Lars only comes up to speak when the country is almost burning. They are never preventative in their approach. Here we have a major activity that is taking place that might have unknown and untold consequences to our economy, where government will have license to borrow another $30 billion if possible. It's taking place and the economists are quiet. You have to hear it from a guy like myself when the economists should be in the forefront, when Zambia Statistics Agency is undertaken and has undertaken this. This must be a national debate. When we revised, for example, we rebased the kwacha, we removed the 3 zeros. Did the kwacha strengthen? Did the purchasing power change? Did it reflect in the economy? For me, I would like to have such informed debate. So when we rebase our economy, that now our economy has grown beyond Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is at $45 billion. And Zimbabwe, you can excuse it. Zimbabwe has been growing relentlessly. It is a resilient economy that has suffered 30 years of sanctions, and in that restrictions, closed out of cheap finance, closed out of foreign banking, closed out of fair trade. Zimbabwe has recorded massive growth, and for the first time they have millionaires. Because, for example, the diamond fields that they discovered and the gold fields, they never gave it to any multinationals. They gave it to their own people. So you have millionaires in dollars that have emerged in Zimbabwe. In fact, the air traffic that Zambia is benefiting, Qatar, Emirates, Kenya Airways, Ethiopian Airlines, all of them go to Harare. Then they pick a few passengers from Lusaka. Why? Because Zimbabwe even per capita has grown. There are a lot of distortions in such an economy, but you can't hide that Zimbabwe is growing. There was a wedding of a young man, and people were competing to donate $1 million, $400,000. This one brought a Bentley, one of the most expensive vehicles in the world. The other one, gave the young man a farm. They were competing. And at the end of 1 hour of donations, and the president of Zimbabwe was there, the young man had gotten $20 million, both cash and in goods that he was given. Can you imagine an economy like that, where you give a new marrying couple, bride and groom, $20 million gift? In our country, wakabuswe na vairisha matabo walifaa kukuyumfwa. On a ceremony, they donated 100,000 kwacha. There was an uproar. There was a huge uproar. We all called for investigations against them. Why? The size of our economy remains small. It's not the billions that are being made, the billions that is making the economy grow, like the mining sector. None of that money belongs to us. It belongs to the people we live with here in Canada and in the United States that have private jets, and they are living a life of luxury. And one of the directors I met on the plane, who belongs to one of the mining firms, was telling me that him and his wife chase summer. They don't want to experience winter. So if winter comes here, they go wherever there is summer, but money made on the back of our country. And that's the difference. So I expect an informed debate from even our candidates, both Brian Mundubile and President Hakainde Hichilema. But what do we have? What we have are insults. You have the young man, Gilbert Liswaliso, saying the civil servants will do their work and Brian Mundubile will not win the elections, and that President Hakainde Hichilema will continue to be president up to 2041. He will not be arrested. No one will question, what do you mean? What do you mean, Gilbert Liswaliso, when you say your civil servants will do their work to ensure that President Hakainde Hichilema remains president up to 2041? What does that mean? What have you done? Are you going to take away the life of Brian Mundubile? Or is ECZ are the public officials you mean that have cooked up the process to an extent that the opposition will not win elections? We need credible debates. We need to put forthright. Another person who literally annoyed me is my dear brother, former Deputy Minister of Finance under President Mwanawasa, Jonas Shakafuswa. He did a piece, and I'm surprised that even Smart Eagles published it. Literally, that's hate speech. He did a piece where he alleged that Bembas, stop it. Your support for Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu is tribal. I hate Bembas. He used very strong words. The stupid pieces, or even on Smart Eagles. Jonas Shakafuswa, a national leader. You were an MP for Katuba. You rose to the position of deputy minister. You are a respected man in our country. You even have a son, Christopher Shakafuswa, who's been an MP for Mandevo. You come from an illustrious family. Why would you issue such tribal sentiments? If the last 20 years that UPND enjoys support from Southern Province, Western, Northwestern Province, if you had vocalized your expression, your thoughts and your fears like that, maybe people would believe you. Because then you should have asked, how come UPND continues to have massive support from Southern Province? How has it become tribal if Mundubile gets support from Northern and Muchinga Province without condemning the issues around UPND and the so-called strongholds? When it comes to the UPND, there are strongholds. When it comes to the PF, or in this case, Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, it becomes tribal. Come on, Jonas. And for our media, see how you shouldn't help perpetrate hate speech and division. Because that piece by Jonas Shakafuswa was terrible. And all I expect from him is an apology. He's a former Deputy Minister of Finance. He's an opinion leader in our country. And I get very concerned if opinion leaders are the ones perpetrating hate speech, because that's what leads to genocide. Because our lesser mortals believe what we say as gospel truth. So if we don't act responsibly, we can ignite fire in that country. And remember, as we go to elections, the assessment, if you look at the IMF report, World Bank report, Human Rights Watch International, United Nations Human Rights Council, everyone is very concerned about the political tensions in our country, whether they are political, whether they are tribal, whether they are economic, whether because of the now different class stratification, where you have very few people who are very wealthy and a large number of our people remain poor. The amount of tension, especially stoked the last 5 years, where you now have tribal tensions, where it looks like the South is in a war with the North. Leaders like Jonas Shakafuswa and all of us have to be very sensitive, because the reports are stating that if you look at the economic tensions, the number of people unemployed, the political tension where people have not been allowed to express themselves, the rise of cyber laws and cyber security laws, the rise of these seditious laws that literally have silenced the country, then the economic crisis our people are going through, then the tribal sentiments where one tribe seems to be benefiting from the national cake, where all appointments are from one region, where all new appointments, all people that have large tenders are from one region. You cannot have people perpetrating hate speech, because like the international reports are saying, Zambia is at the verge of civil unrest, civil uprising, words that never applied to our country. Our country has been known as a bastion of peace, a country that has had successful change of power. Even in the case of the opposition winning power, we've had peaceful transfer of power. We've never had, even in campaign periods, where even violence has degenerated to alarming levels. Because even at the height of the threats of the clashes, either between UNIP and ANC in the 60s and 70s, between MMD and UPND, and between MMD and PF, and between PF and UPND, we've never had alarming political tension. Even the political violence is isolated. You'd find violence maybe at intercity or at political rallies, never in our communities. But now the tensions are so many in every sphere, including religious tensions, where the church is also divided. You have the SDA on this side, who were never political, who never issued political statements. Now they are actively supporting President Hakainde Hichilema. You have attacks that have been unleashed on the church, the Catholic Church. And you have evangelicals bought with voices like Nevas Mumba, who spew hatred. My dear brother, Nevas Mumba, is one I respect. Like many people who are born again, Bible believing, we grew up, in the messages preached by Nevas Mumba. I remember in 1991, I was still born again and I was working for a bank. Even when he issued that scandalous statement that there will be bloodshed if MMD won elections, because he had hidden sympathies for Dr. Kaunda, and he chose to give an opinion, clothed it as prophecy. He was at the height of his popularity, and you should have seen the mass crowds that will attend his crusades. That people ignored him. But over the last 30 years, Nevas Mumba has just emerged as a fraud who abuses his position. And there are many things happening around my dear brother, Nevas Mumba. I'm not one who drives personal attack against anyone, but I've been very, very disappointed with the rise and fall of Nevas Mumba, a rising star in our country, a voice of conscience, one who appeared to have fulfilled the prophecy that Zambia shall be saved, and to fall to the level that he has fallen to. is literally a disgrace. And is on government fund, is been given a government vehicle, but he will not relinquish his active party position of MMD president, whatever he calls his new political party. Remember, President Edgar Lungu was forced to leave the benefits because was, the former President Benefits Act of 1993 was maliciously amended in 1998 to state that if a former president goes back into active politics, they forfeit those benefits. President Hakainde Hichilema has put the former vice president on literally an illegal source of income and allowance. I have looked away because I think, especially that they became running mates, that vice presidents should be part of the former President's Benefits Act. But these provisions are illegal. The president appointed them as special envoys, and it's under that sanction that he pays them. So for neighbors who receives public praise to remain in active politics and then use his position to spew hatred against the opposition in the manner he does, even when he was supposed to be a guiding light on matters regarding the late president, sad matters that have polarized our country, he remained a so. In fact, like I saw a write-up, I can't remember, but one of good write-ups on social media did a piece that sometimes President Hakainde Hichilema doesn't see that the people he has brought as his voices are actually damaging him. So his investment in their voices are actually counterproductive because they don't bring the benefits that he has invested in. People like Robert Chavinga, Mao Sampa, or Nevas Mumba, who just annoy our people when they attempt to speak. Tabaishwa no kuamia ati inonga wakupele chintu achikashitishe. You should be able to say the ice cream is red, it's fresh, it's solid, but you say the ice cream is red like blood. Who will buy that ice cream? So I'll look up at the analysis. Is it Chengelos? One of our good analysts, if someone remembers who analyzed the people that President Hakainde Hichilema has put as his voices and as his substitute voices, actually do more damage because they annoy Zambians than they should in inviting Zambians to make friends. I always, my stance, having worked with many presidents, has always been that make friends, not enemies. The president must be loved, must be supported. But you have people that make enemies for the president, that polarize the divisions for the president, and you laugh at that. Every time any of my friends took a hardline stance against anyone, I said, but you should be making friends for the president. Don't make enemies for him. And sometimes in many cases, many cases, people use their personal battles to use the office of the president to wage their personal battles. Kanshinga nshakutemwa kuyapokenda lama kuri HH to insult you when it's my personal battle. And that doesn't grow popularity for the president, and they remain in the same dock because they lose power. And then they wonder why they lost power. So there are various lessons. So but Jonas Shakafuswa, I'm humbly a man I respect, a man whose political career has demonstrated courage. This is not the only statement that he has issued. Recently he has issued very tribal statements, but the one I've cited was the extreme, where he's accusing Brian Mundubile of practicing tribal politics, when Brian Mundubile and Makebi have never uttered any tribal sentiments anywhere in their campaigns. And the support they are naturally receiving is beyond issues of tribe. Probably it might have something to do with the political base of the Patriotic Front, which President Hakainde Hichilema has attempted to destroy. It also has something to do, especially in urban areas, with the cost of living. The cost of living has jumped from 8,000 kwacha, is sitting to almost 13,000. The people in urban areas, Lusaka, Copperbelt, and along the line of rail. The cost of living is such a big crisis that it can boot the president out of power. Tababanga wakumushi kuti bayali makandolo basombola balya ubushiku bwapita. They can survive, but abalumendo bekala mu George bakalima kwi tabalima. They expect to do some menial works, to do some labor work somewhere. There should be construction going on. There should be activities, trade that's taking place that they can benefit from. Tababanga bakumushi ngafia shupa na mumpanga kuti baya aswe fisabo, baya aswe mfungo, baswa masafwa, baswa, that can make the day go by. People in urban areas cannot. And if you have a large population of young people unemployed, willing to work, willing to be in college, willing to be in university, but the opportunities are not there, you are sitting on a time bomb, and you ought to be careful. Someone said I should talk about the rallies. Yeah, Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu and the president. The president has been on a speedy process because he is incumbent, is benefiting from state infrastructure. And like my dear brother Chimbagambwili said, that it's mockery for the president to say he's not on a salary. He's on a Land Cruiser supported by the state and all his entourage. To some extent, even their supporters, we are seeing buses that belong to the state transport the supporters to their rallies, government vehicles, trucks supporting his political rally. Then he says he doesn't get paid. Come on, Wakateka. He's flying on a helicopter and planes by Zambia Air Force, free of charge. He says he doesn't get paid. Come on, Wakateka. So the president has covered now, he's been on the Copper Belt. He was in Kitwe yesterday, Chingola and Ndola today. He's covered almost 5 provinces in a period of under 6 days. Our dear brothers, Makebi and Mundubile, are struggling because they have to go by road to those lengthy distances. I don't know if you know that the distance between Lusaka and Mpulungu is the same distance between Lusaka and Johannesburg. Did you know that? And at least the Lusaka-Johannesburg route is smooth. In many cases, it's dual carriageway or properly paved up to Johannesburg. Not the Lusaka-Mpulungu road. And if you look at the road, for example, Chipata, Lundazi, if you look at Lundazi Chama roads, if you look at Chama Matumbo, Chinzali Shwangandu, if you look at Mpika, Kasama Road, if you look at Mpika, Isoka, Nakonde roads, if you look at Mbala, Nakonde Road, Mbala, Kasama Road, come on. It's been a strain and stress on the two leaders. They are almost 16 days and they've only covered 3 provinces. They've come to Luapula, which is the 4th.
Errors, debt restructuring, the damage in the mines, law and order. Twali wambulaji mwalunga mujoma mwakwera basi weyakulusaka intercity useruka buyombo oserukira ate basi ya wakujoma ate vimenye nivi batoka kuchoma hivi vimenye nivi ati tundu mwezi singombe wakabape abantu bali kumwe ati tundu mwezi ati mbaba hota maningi kuhotela Hakainde amuba ome ku intercity sunu yakaba yamwe yakakuba mulaliendera mbomu yanda intercity kunyina umuguma wamuguma ndamwanga banyina bene wabalyawe Zambia, so many things. Although we have done, there are many more things to be done. Tujiyagumbere kubereka, not what.
Uli na menso amone, uli na matuna nkonfwe, ifyo mpasha kwa le saule sosa. Kalanda kudu yo akwashe nyari no kuyifisa. Banta washe nyari awifisa iyo.
Thank you very much. I thought I had some water here, but I didn't. So I'd forgotten to get my water. Thank you for that. So share the broadcast as we review and reflect on the two front runners, President Hakainde Hichilema and Makebi Zulu, and Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, the running mate. And we are reviewing their campaigns and their campaign messages and matters of concern. Is it possible for the Electoral Commission of Zambia to hold democratic, credible, transparent, free and fair elections? And how are the messages impacting on the voters and who's doing well? That's the purpose of this broadcast. We are counting down. It's now 36 days away from August 13th when Zambia holds presidential, parliamentary and local government elections. Coming to the rallies, on social media, Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are beating President Hakainde Hichilema. You can compare. The president will be live on ZMBC, on his page, sometimes on Kalemba and others. Look at the numbers. Dismal. It will be 1.2, 1.6, 1.8. But Brian Mundubile, you'll see on his page 5.8, 5. There are times when he's reaching 6.6. Makebi Zulu at the same time, also somewhere around there, 5.6, 4.8. And other affiliated pages like Grindstone, Smart Eagles and others that will be live, huge numbers. So the president is being beaten. Even when they are having the rallies at the same time, on social media, the audience seems very excited about Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu than the president. And you can check for yourself every time. Today there was Kawambo and Mwansabombo rally. So before you compare the physical numbers, compare the social media numbers. See, the president is live on ZMBC, is live on his own page. Sometimes he's live on other pages like Kalemba, Mwewantu, and others. And look at the numbers that Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are pulling. Incredible numbers. So social media, Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu continue to do very well. There are more people watching them than they are watching the president. On the numbers, it's debatable. The numbers for the president, wherever he has been, it's like he's speaking to his own choir. Everyone is in red, everyone is being dressed, and there are a lot of vehicles at the back there. You can see the canters and the buses, sometimes even the GRZ buses and vehicles. So it's a crowd put together. One of my dear friend who I've covered on this program, Nobet Mumba, even did a comparison today between the rally in Kawambwa and Chingola. And he said, he issued a warning to the ruling party that be careful. These winds of change which you are refusing exist appears to be turning to a hurricane. Why? Because from Kitwe, Ndola, Kabwe, Petauke, Nyimba, Katete, Chipata, Lundazi, and all the rallies that Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu have held continue to grow. In fact, the other day we saw one of the largest rallies that has been held, the Kasama rally. It actually even beat the Kitwe rally. And Norbert Mumba warned, he's a good commentator, economist, and used to work for Bank of Zambia, and is regular on social media. All of us, we know each other on social media. He's a very impartial, neutral voice. He will criticize Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu if there is some wrong message or some things that have gone wrong. He will still ken the UPND if they've done something wrong. So I was attracted to that comment, because that's a comment coming from a neutral voice who's watching the terrain as it emerges. But he warned the UPND that these winds of change, you're even refusing there's no wind of change, might actually is turning into a hurricane, and I agree with him. Just at the Kasama rally, we saw the Council of Elders chairperson, Prince Akashamba Twambikustalewanika, founder of the MMD, founder of multi-party democracy in our country, rise to the occasion and support Brian Mundubile and endorse him. We saw Woaka was very instrumental in trying to put the opposition together. They were involved in a lot of initiatives. Most of them didn't come to fruition. But we saw that Akashambatwa rendered his voice to the coalition that has been put together by Brian Mundubile from the Tonse Alliance that has civil society groupings and about 24 political parties, and also PF Pamoza Alliance that has also a similar number of political parties and civil society groupings. And together, as Tonse PF Pamoza Alliance, they form this formidable alliance that is like a whirlwind, like a tornado that is coming, sweeping across the provinces as they come. So it will be folly for anyone to undermine what Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu have achieved so far. The people of Zambia seems to have responded to them and allocated the choice that they could be the carrier, they could be the vehicle for the change against the UPND. And this has put our other colleagues into literal oblivion. My dear brother, who I love so much, and he was my boss, he was my minister of foreign affairs, and I worked very well with him, Harry Kalava, has put up a spirited fight. You know, he founded a party that was stolen from him by the UPND. He didn't cry, he didn't bother, he started afresh, formed a new party in Citizens First, and he grew it in the last 5 years. He's had campaigns in Luapula, Western Province, Lusaka, and Eastern Province. But you can see that Zambians are unipolar in the manner they decide their politics. Like it was in 2021, it's either UPND or PF. Like it was in 2011, it's either MMD and PF. Like it was in 1991, it's either UNIP and MMD. There were some even new political parties that were formed in 1991. People will not remember, you know, the Reverend Intelashas and others that formed some political parties. Zambians just ignored that. So the work of the opposition, such as Fred Membe and Harry Kalava, will likely suffer in this election because the people have chosen that it is either Brian Mundubile or President Hakainde Hichilema, and they are not looking beyond the two. And that's why it's troubling for me that the PF and the Resolute Party and NRPUP can even, up to this stage, have two candidates in some constituents. That's a kind of carelessness we should not practice. Our people do not have time in the ballot box. They are very unipolar in the manner. If they have chosen that is Brian Mundubile, ni pay lampi. And you even have to do a lot of education where you have Resolute Party candidate. You have to do an aggressive, that mwambire pe lampi, mwise kukachola, mwabwerela kui lampi. It's a lot of work for our people. So it's careless on our part that up to now we have not resolved the issue of two candidates in Chingola, in Chililawombwe, in Ndola, Kitwe, and parts of Lusaka. Totally unacceptable that we have not put to bed this issue. These are our own members, and we should tell them. We should immediately put this crisis away. It's impacting very, very negatively against us. In fact, the two candidates from Resolute and NRPU party even engage in mudslinging against one another. Because they will say, no Mundubile, no Makebi, no Mundubile. In the end, you have a fight in the house. Family, put this matter to bed. It is undermining you. Let's have a uniform message, and let's have one single candidate in constituencies where even in this late hour, 36 days away from elections, we have not resolved this. In fact, I expected that we're going to resolve this matter by June 30th so that the new ballots that are being printed will have reflected those that will have withdrawn. But alas, we are going to have in Lusaka and Copperbelt and in some places like Petauke, two candidates. That remains unacceptable. We want to Akwalesa, of course this is in-house, but I have to publicly ridicule you because these are some of the issues that are very key to the people of Zambia. Don't put them in a quandary. So he said, if Harry Kalava, Fred Membe, KBF have suffered because of the decisions, because the wind has favored Brian Mundubile. Like kanabesa not wa mwamba wa mporokoso balilanda wino sana when he received Brian Mundubile and the team yesterday. What kanabesa? Let me see if I can find Wakanabesa. Very quick. Let me just look for it so that we can reflect on what he said.
Ni Mundubile, Maisi ni nani, ni Makebi, Abansala, Abanfinfi, Abakaso, Abalupato.
Why we feel that we are hated even when we are not. We feel sorry for ourselves. We feel sorry for being Tonga. Tajele dekubabobo pe Mebo, my father and my mother. I did all my education in Monze. But there's one thing that I have seen. When it is time for voting, the kind of message that is given to us, the voters, or the kind of message that is given to us, the people, it is not the message that unites the country. And it is high time the people of Southern Province realize and vote together with the whole nation, like the whole nation did in 2021. Host, I'm sorry. I want to use Tonga, and I'm not sorry for being Tonga.
Mundubile panoli paka subaka tandemon ndeti paka 18 August abantu bandi kuno kunsama chifuto bale mipere kwa tema politics tulelanda abantu ikiri mu mind munyabo ni change bafyobe ne bale ikala nebe bale mona mu wika shibwamo echo bale fu afere change yaba Mundubile te kumitemo bamitemenwe abantu ikiri pofe yene yali politiuba atuefu afe change so muri change imuna himwele mwana isa muri change bombele ni kwa
bana besa sosa abantu bale
bombele ni abantu bale fu afe change bombele ni abantu ba Mundubile kumyenu beba cyagakira kamushika senge ni kumyenu mukwa itete tupose bya abantu inshita pya muri sanfwe fifina muna mwaisa efe tusaka maneni na amafoni bali tushimia na mayobonse kana lumanga bali tushimia so na tepane na say tu
His Royal Highness Chief Nsama, who's in charge of Nsama district, is a senior chief among the Bemba and Tabwa people there. This government has not treated him well because he holds very strong views. He wants a proper road between Nsama and Kaputa Road. He has been singing about the road between Imporokoso and Nsama and Kaputa. You know, he wants transmitters so that they could have proper network as people. You have a game area, you have Unsumbu in that area, you have some of the most fertile lands that goes up to Lake Tanganyika is in his area, and he hasn't been treated well. And every time he raises this issue, whether they've had meetings with government officials, they regard that he's fighting them. No, he's not fighting them. He's fighting for his people, and he spoke very strongly there. But the point I was trying to raise there is that the people of Zambia have identified Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu as a vehicle in which to cause the change. Remember, the biggest opposition in our country is not PF, it's not Socialist Party, it's not Citizen First, it's not NRPUP or Resolute Party. The biggest opposition in our country is the people of Zambia. Yesterday I demonstrated that the statistics in 2021 showed that the largest political party in our country at the time was Patriotic Front. And it only had about 450,000 registered members, followed by UPND that had about 180,000 registered members. So the people that actively belong to any political party are literally infinitesimal, very small compared to the number of voters. Our voters are sitting at 8-point-something million. And the number, they don't really belong to UPND or to PF. They may hear your message and identify with you. They may recognize how you treated them. For example, the people of Zambia are annoyed with the issues of load shedding. with the issue of sharing fertilizer on Meda, the abuse of human rights, and the shutting down of the country using cyber laws, they are angry with the ruling party and they want to express their anger. And Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are the biggest beneficiary, as we have seen, as we trudge towards the elections. So it's not for anyone to think they are popular because they are popular. No. It's a lot of factors, like the chief attributed, the sufferings, and then they are searching for a leader, and nalese mwabu amufia musangwefi asa kusompola fya kufumiamu akukushango mno wapakati hapa, and that's what has happened to Brian Mundubile. So my call to fellow leaders like Honorable Harry Kalaba, Fred Member KBF, is kusumina vyati munonko munine wenu lesanamu salamu wika kupanta nshikumichila. It has nothing to do with your capabilities or your ability to organize. Sometimes just someone's else time. When I came into Lusaka in 2021 and declared that I was going to stand as president, and along the way I was not a member of the Central Committee. I was outside, and remember I was a public servant. I'd been an ambassador for a period of 8 years. So I came and went into partisan politics. I had no single position in the party. But I said, looking at my experience, vast experience, locally and internationally, and the knowledge and the presence experience, I think that I can lead the party after President Hakainde Hichilema. After President Edgar Lungu. And my activities began to grow. I kept on talking about it, kept on going to radio stations, and I was issue-based, policy-based, criticizing President Hakainde Hichilema. I was the first one in the first 3 months to call him a failure. I remember I was the first one to call him a liar on Radio Phoenix. And people said, Emmanuel, you are bitter. It's too early. The president has succeeded. And they said, how can you, in 90 days, say the president has failed? And I demonstrated that in politics. When you are campaigning, you say you make changes within 30 days, within 60 days, within 90 days. And President Hakainde Hichilema, when I called him a failure and a liar, he had done 90 days already. And I said the reasons are the following. His approach to debt and the debt crisis is he has brought the IMF too early, too quickly, and he has not changed, because he has continued to use the language like he's in the opposition. He said he's now a statesman, he's a father of everyone. He can't be picking up so many fights with everyone. And I demonstrated that economic policies he had taken of favoring foreign and foreign-owned companies and multinationals would be detrimental to our country. And I stated that to this effect, he will not succeed after 5 years. I also went to his critical policies like CDF, and I demonstrated how it would be a failure. I said he has missed the point entirely. He's supposed to push in and implement the decentralization policy. It's the quickest way to develop far-flung areas and the people outside, those in the periphery and those that are outside the benefit of Lusaka, because there's a tendency to think that Lusaka is Zambia and Zambia is Lusaka. So the best policy to do that is a decentralization policy. But he picked one small single item, isolated item called CDF, and he thought therefore he could deliver development to our country. And what has happened? There's even a video I need to play of a young man, who's an artist, who was visiting Kembe West, and he said he's reprimanding the MPs that how can you have a grass-thatched house, grade 1 to grade 7, one small area in Zambia currently, and that school is in Kembe West. And he says, you have leaders here. Let me look for that small video. I think it's very impactful because it's coming from an independent voice for someone who grew up in the area itself. And Kembe has been a strong one for the UPND, I think, since 2011. And let me look for that video quickly.
Uli na menso amone, uli na matuna nkonfwe, ifyo mpasha kwa le saule sosa. kalande kuri yo kwashe nyari no kuyifisa bantu tawashe nyari awifisa iyo ya kuvyala nokusombola mwebe na Zambia ichili chose chali kwete nchita ya chikopesa mbaja chalo mwikalisha mufi lamba mulelila kuwacha no bwaila sangeni nchita ya kubeba mkusheleza pachalo chalo ulubuto na lumona ulo ako akazuka ako ikwashela vipa nono inyali yena ya lasanika ulubuto na lumona ulo ako akazuka ako ikwashela vipa nono inyali yena ya lasanika inangwa manja ya pulo lupyango no kukakawa kayele ichetekele inyali yena ya lasanika imotikatane tutemwane tutamje mwenzaka vinga atochosha muno ikalanga bana banjiwa inene sana mumona apabula vemba ikwashana vyapanono inyali yena yalasanika ukuboko na kumona apabula vemba tabuke ikwashana vyapanono yoyoyoyo yalasanika chali shuke chalo chita padilesi nokutemla lese overlesa bantu lesango uposushi kalanda kuri yoshe ntaka bashwe nokwa pontela bantu enelesa akamupingula
Nkombete nku Ipongo ward, one of the wards in Kembe West. So ndesaku area nkubeta ikunkala. But chankankamika noweni mikoa. Ichi chomutowo na pisule yangu. Amuseko mamiyangishi. Cho chikolo. Ichi chikolo. Chile tegila pa grade 1 mpaka pa grade 7. So chomutowo na ichi chikolo amadeski ngaya aboma. Ngaya amadeski aboma. So mboba shite wantu kuno batopengeka nabo. But yet we have CDF in the coffers of government. We have people that have been assigned to work kwamba ishishikolo bana besukabe yakabutu free education kwamba iseka botu kabutu, but this is not going to be tolerated. Tunatoka kwamba dushiteko shindu shipusenemo kwamba ichiro bana besubake yakabutu muri ndime nembikira ma amuse mubone mbato kwira abantu amuse mubone yino njo classroom wino. Ino classroom mwa tukwira bana chikolo ino. This is a classroom. You call this a school. Injo board njo batokwira. Ngama desk. This is my desk niko kabo tungala nile mbetwe. Kembe CDF 2022. So CDF bakale tama desk bale taunenka muno mu class mutu waboneka so. And yet people are claiming to work. That's why nebo ndamba kwamba as incoming council chairperson ndete usensera patu pomwi aba MP kwamba itusebenseka ino ni area itabete wakula alia tabete kula fupafu pankala pafu ifwa. But look at how our children are suffering. Moba tokwira muno teacher kuli ama teachers kubali aside kuna usamkwisha mushikoro mulisheshi 61 years after independence tujipenga like this. Amone so chikoro ichiso chikoro ichiso people are learning like that. It is a pity that our children are being exposed to such. No wonder we need proper leadership. Mali doesn't cover it. Bakasangwa abantu. People that voted for those that were put in power to lead them and to help them. But look at this. Takutolega kuoneka kwamba kuno kuliwa government I'm sure nchikumbu huko kunokoto bese. You see what this.
Can you imagine a school like that? It's in Kembe constituency, and Kembe has had an MP, I think since 2011, who comes from the opposition, and you have such a school. And why hasn't CDF resolved the crisis? It exemplifies exactly what I was talking about. They can deliver desks to a hut. You know why? Because that means a contract. They loot the process. Someone then can get quick money, do cheap desks and deliver, but they will not build the school. So it becomes a looting frenzy instead of a developmental initiative. What needs to be done is the district should plan for what health centers to do in the district, schools, roads, feeder roads to do, and what campsites, what's the number. You do a district plan and you fund the district, not the constituents, not ward committees, because those people will act opportunistically. They will see it, they will form a cooperative that will loot the money instead of delivering development. So I had criticized President Hakainde Hichilema that he would fail 90 days after he was in office, and people said it was too early. So what I was talking about is that the party recognized my contribution, and President Edgar Lungu then appointed me almost 7 months later to the position of Central Committee member, and even made me one of the official spokesperson of the party. Now, although I was a presidential candidate, I never demeaned my president and acting president at the time, given Lubinda. I recognized my colleagues in the Central Committee, even that were senior than me, the national chairperson, Secretary General and others. That's what you do. Sometimes you recognize that it's not my time. I might have the ability, I might have the opportunity, I might have the experience, but it is not my time. So that's the same appeal I'm making to my colleagues in the opposition, that sometimes you have to recognize that this has nothing to do with your inability or ability. I can see my phones are buzzing already, which is a good sign. People want to contribute. Hello, I'm live. Do you wish to contribute on the program?
Hello, good evening.
I'm live on the program. Do you want to? I haven't yet called for people to contribute.
Yeah.
But do you want to contribute?
Yes.
Okay. Make your contribution. Identify yourself and make your contribution.
This is Muvita from Kafiwe, Ambassador.
Mr. Muvita from Kafiwe, make your contribution.
My plea, Ambassador, is to the three leaders. I want to plead to the three leaders. These are the Hari Kalava, Dr. Fred Membe, and Kelvin Wariafume. I just want to plead to them that they should bear with us. Like you said, that they are very much capable, very much educated, but certain situations, just God's time is always the best. They should understand that at the moment they don't have the people to muscle this election. The people have already decided for Brian Mundubile. So I'm just pleading to these three able leaders. You are very capable, you are very educated, you can run this country, but there's always time for everything. I'm just pleading to them, if they could hear from us, the callers, us, the voters, us, the people in the villages, that they should join hands with Brian Mundubile so that we carry the day on 13th August. That is my very plea, which I would like to say, Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can see another caller. But this is your program. Make your contribution. Tell us your name and where you're from.
This is Raphael Chanda calling from Livingston.
But Raphael Chanda, make your contribution.
Amamba, kwatira ishi mwachi katako. Ishi mwachi katako yaba kwati anzikata sana kumtima. I think it would be last week. Adita naisa cha pama screenshots. Then I should start forward ku WhatsApp line yen. Pamwana Kashumbi, who is a councillor ku Kabwe. Katushinga ku Kwacha East in the Central Province. Pamwana Kashuri Angelo Rogo Kawati. Hii ni ya kututa issue ama double location ama adoption certificates. Na bari mpere certificate ya RP. Then abana anko ba pera ma certificates ya NRP UP. So nomba ira group ira cha aggregate kumwe bwo batano. You are not one of us. And actually wa MP ira bana forefront ya kwebo man cash. So what I did is after naranda nanko I forwarded them screenshots ku phone kumwe. Nomba question nkwete ba mamba kwebo kwebati. Aba bantu babiri ama SG Bazuma Nzimba na ba Celestial. I believe abantu bali kere panchi no to discuss no kushuko kwebati. Okay. Southern Province twala pela NRP UP. Okay, then Lusaka Province twala pela RP. Just like that. Number, if these people had to sit down and agree, start the liberate paria ama adoption certificate. But number, uyu pali wa mkandira na ba Chris Zumani. Ngabali shibogo bati Southern Province ya NRP UP. Then he copper belt or he constituents or Ishari. But why did they continue now? We should discuss a meeting of the conclude. So why they funya adoption certificate? Kuroko mwishiwa na mkwataka abantu. But futi wafuna put na certificate to apero mutu. Nomba I am a problem ambanga tatposele ko sana mano. Istana ipo era chita cost. Yara chita sana cost because nomba wala boxta divider ma abarankane and this to work kukuri advantage yaba UPND. So idan de konde wa Chris Zumani na ba Celestial ngabali kere ba mfono kwa this is our list and this is what we have decided. I don't think so. Mambo kula afunya ma adoption we afunya no yafunya ku yafunya no yafunya. So idan de mambo bati umuri discussion tamari sincerity mwali ko karaka akabuntu kare and karaka abuntu katatposele kwa amana engara tuipashi. So barabete shepa abantu babiri abanabeshi bapari ababiri nabeshi wapangire mistake wafunisha adoption certificate yotari ngiro kufunya. They know where the problem is. So wafunisha adoption where they need to say ukutubikire ko political party ni ukutubikire kwe aufida bombere pari problem because the problem era sana cost na totera sana wamwa.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll be opening the phone lines shortly. Let me just now speak to the last issue of, I put up a screenshot there. Ghana has settled the Eurobond. They didn't want debt restructure. They said debt restructure is very expensive because you'll be paying up to 2052 and you can pay $3 billion debt and you can pay up to $10 billion. Mozambique and Namibia have also chosen that path. They don't want any debt restructure. They've just decided to pay. And the case of Ghana, Ghana had even defaulted. And the man that has decided to pay is a new president. So you can't say, no, Zambia defaulted. Ghana defaulted. The previous government defaulted in 2022. And of course, I have explained that there were 38 countries in Africa that defaulted. 38. Zambia was just the first one. Let me repeat the issue of vote protection and ballot security. Remember, we've expressed concern that you have a new law in the Electoral Process Act of 2026 that has moved ballot security, the watermark and the date stamp. And then there's also a new issue that directs that the voter must immediately leave the polling station after voting. And then they've outlawed parallel vote tabulation. It's very important that you recognize these developments that have occurred and that have a critical impact on the possibility of a free and fair elections. That's why it is up to you. I've been urging you. Tamfire mo alolela na ba Celestine Mukandila na ba Chris Zumani. In your area, kokwine muikala, forming in what we call polling station committee. Form a polling station committee. Each polling station has 900 voters. 900 voters. Sometimes in a ward there are so many you can identify there could only be maybe 4 or 5 polling stations in your ward. Form those committees, identify your register, identify the 900. What this will do is 2 things. It will ensure that the voter turnout for Brian Mundubile is extremely high. Number 2, the committee itself, after voting, will ensure that they go back to the polling station at 6 o'clock to count with everyone, witness nanguimini in a window, and to ensure that our monitors and party agents that will deploy, they are not removed either by the police or by the UPND. It's very important. Community is the largest buffer. It will not be the EU. It will not be the Catholic Church. It will not be anyone. You are relying on observers. I've seen the narrative where people are relying on observers. Let us make it a community issue across the country. Now, 100 meters away, you are allowed now activities quickly you intervene, because sometimes the number of policemen in this country is about 25,000 to 30,000. So the police cannot be deployed across the country in meaningful numbers. Some polling station will have one policeman or no policeman at all. It will be up to the community. So what I'm appealing to you, form polling station committees. Remember, there is a province, there is a district, then there's a constituency, then there's a ward. So go to the lowest form, which is a polling station. Padamu votela pa school or pa church, identify yourselves. When you votela pa, get a register. There's an online register going on. Go to your particular area, identify yourselves. Mwaikala, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you, form a committee. That committee will begin to identify other voters of the 900, and you'll ensure that then the 900 can come and vote. If you have capacity, you can take up other polling stations, form the committee and supervise that process. Do not rely on ECZ to deliver free and fair elections. Do not rely on observers. Observers are exactly that. They are mere observers. The party agents who send to that area can be bought, can be bribed, but if they know that there is strength, there are people watching, everyone will be on their toes. Vote security, ballot security and vote protection becomes extremely important. The issues of PVT, the issues of monitoring through online mechanism, those are technical issues. You leave them to Lusaka. But you as a community, that's what you have to do. Let's hear from you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Precious Inonga from Livingstone.
Yes, my dear sister.
Yeah, I want to contribute on this issue of President Hakainde Hichilema using tribalism, and also this one issue, what he was talking about. So, Honorable, to be honest with you, this year votes, the elections, they need to be protected, because we have seen so many hypocrites who pretend like they want to support Brian Mundubile. Yes, they say that politics is all about numbers, but again, do not bring so much those people, that they can betray Brian Mundubile and Bamakebi Zulu on that day. Because some of them, they are not happy to see that Bamakebi Zulu and Brian Mundubile, they are going to save the people of Zambia. This is why you see, even Brian Mundubile, I was busy telling him to say he should not be deceived, because that information, Honorable, I know what I'm talking about.
My sister, talk about, you say, my dear sister, let me guide you. You said you want to talk about President Hakainde Hichilema's tribal statements and Liswaniso. Restrict yourself there.
So for Liswaniso, it's the same one I'm talking about. The reason why he had that courage to talk like that, because there are some other people who have been sent there. just to make sure that Mundubile and Makebi, they cannot pass on 13 August. If you want, you mark this day. I know what I'm talking about. It's not everyone who is with them, who is supporting them. No. What happened in 2021, it will happen again now. This is why I'm telling you that take note of this. Because this is really serious. This issue of saying, it's all about numbers. Yes, it's all about numbers. People, they are supporting them. But if you just trust these leaders who we see that they don't mean well. Leaders, I'm not saying that I hate Bachimba Kambwiri. But you remember what Cornelius Mwedwa told the nation. He said, we worked well with Chishimba Kambwiri to bring Edgar Lungu down. Even Bashon Tembo, all those people are the people we saw that these are the people who pretended like they were with Balungu, but they were not with Walungu. Okay, so if people of Zambia were to listen to us, it's better you make sure that if those people they are supporting Abraham, we are not refusing them. They can vote for them, but not to bring them very much close, because I know what I'm talking about. And some of you, if you want, you can call me names, but I know what I'm talking about. This is what even Charles Chanda last time told me, that Hakainde Hichilema is using Mausampa to destroy Patriotic Front, and that information I kept it from 2023 up to now. That's when now I told you. Even this information I'm telling you, I have this information. And the person who said this, he cannot lie because he knows what he's talking about. And they are saying they want Mundubile on that day. They will pretend like he's with us, but they will give chance to the President Hakainde Hichilema. So please take note of this. Coming to the issue of tribalism, this tribalism that the President Hakainde Hichilema keeps on using wherever he's going, it's not right, because for him, when he's in his southern province, he keeps on talking about people were being beaten, the Tongas were being beaten, but he's expecting votes from Copper Belt. So how do you expect vote from Copper Belt when you don't want Brand Mundubile and Makebi Zulu to be supported by Southern Province? Some of the things we should think before you start even accusing people of things that they don't know. But President Hakainde Hichilema in this case is the masterminder, whether you like it or not, because this man, he gives the people money, he buys them, because according to him, he told the nation that we paid the opposition leaders for Bill 7. So why did he pay them? It's because he wants to use them. From there, he's calling them thieves. But it is him who is giving them. Again, he's calling them thieves. So is he being fair to the people of Zambia? So the President Hakainde Hichilema is the one who is supposed to blame in every corruption which is happening right now. So let us all open our eyes. We should not be fooled. Otherwise, the plan that they have, Honorable, I'm still repeating, is to bring Brand Mundubile and Makebi Zulu down. Even that number you are seeing supporting them, yes, they are supporting them, but we need those people supporting them to be protected. Let them trust those youths. They know that those they can protect votes, not kuleta maningi ma leaders bakuru. But these we saw that they failed to help Balungu. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Yeah, my dear sister, issues very difficult statements, but this program does allow for anyone to air their views. Brand Mundubile has been a minister, he's been, chief whip. We know how you handle issues like this. For our people, you need to study, for example, the Mossad. The Mossad can come in your home and buy your own wife. So, but you as a leader must be aware, how do I respond to this? That's why you had, Fidel Castro refusing to marry, because he knew that the enemy is not the only one that is outside, but also the enemy within. But don't worry. Yes, the threats are there, but they will never drop the caution. But again, we can't chase people on mere suspicions. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Nebo Mutale Kuno Kasama.
Yes, Mutale, make your contribution.
Yeah, yes, like you have just summed up on our sister, the previous caller. Yes, it's good to do question during this time of the year, and more especially that during the elections, people must be very much vigilant. If she's coming from, I think I don't want to judge her, because I think she wants to see this baby being delivered. So everyone, if you look at even Mundubile and the Makebi, maybe their issues or they're accusing each other. Mundubile say, this one, since he's vying to become a president, this one is already, so it's very normal. And so to take a caution about all these things is normal, but like you have rightly put it, it's up to leaders to do the needful. So I want to speak to the violence that Hakainde has been preaching about it. Hakainde has been spearheading violence. If you look at the current killing, which you have mentioned, you have talked about the violence from the beginning of this program. The violence is actually increasing. In 2016, in 2017, all this time when we had elections, we saw people crashing, but not to this level where killing. And now can you see that they're actually targeting the candidate themselves. What happened in Southern Province where a candidate decided to sleep in the other room, it was by God's grace. But you can tell that they are targeting the candidate. And who's doing these things? No one else but UPND and HH. So, and the man is not coming out to condemn. And the killing itself is very professional. The killing, the people who are doing the killing are those boys who were trained recently. If you send the people on the ground to go and verify if those people are still being trained or they are still at Lilai or others, those who are with ZNS, those people are not there. They have been released in a community. And these are the people behind these things, sir. So they know exactly what we're doing. So this has to be condemned, and it has to be condemned to the highest level. The other issues are, if you look at what you have already mentioned, we'll continue on this platform. And when we talk about the leaders from opposition to partner up and to speak to join hands with Makebi and Brian, we are saying if leaders cannot decide on that at the level of at their level as leaders, as the president or whatever name, let other leaders from grassroots change. We saw it yesterday where Marx and Vakambwiri decided to go the other way around. Then you leave the leader alone. He's a leader because of people. So if he has no people, he'll encourage all those people who are under him or under them to join the current force, which is Brian. Then we are also encouraging, like, we select for Konkumisha Pali, Idias Yama protection. If it can be used through each tente, person, the Roman Catholic, through Roman Catholic, there are those people who love the part, who wants to see the change. Let them start forming muscle groups. And they get a NRC, a vote, a book registering each other, not grabbing a voter's card, not grabbing NRC, but just writing them down. And each person, it becomes a leader of 200 people, 30 people. Then on that day, with a phone number, they start calling each other so that when they move on that day, they are moving in Tangombe. One person is leading 100 of them. And by so doing that, we are going to be participating in this year's election. A third at which then we are done, because this person is determined. He really wants to break us apart as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Ramamba, Mabombeni Pai.
And Tamkwai Mayo Badishani.
Tulife bwino mama nyirenda ndetu mina murusaka.
Mkwai Mayo.
Bamamba na rata mpire aba shakafuswa. Bashakafuswa efe barandiro kwa bati pata ababemba ukusapota ba president ba Brian Mundubile. Tuleranda panga ali mubemba uwarandire pamusho wumbi ngari maseozi. Lero tulero bakuri bashakafuswa cyakwe bati lekeni ukuleta tribalism mu cyaro cyeso. Bantu ifwe bambe abana besu bari upwa kubatonga, kubalozi, kubankoya, imitundu yonse twali ufya kwa abana, one Zambia, one nation. Era tachabombecho. Nangu bangalande fe bashakafuswa. Change nepo ili. Ukwisa kuri Gilbert Ruswaniso. Gilbert Lusaniso ama maine yaliwakwata ngayo leti no kweba tibakesa poka bablani Mundubile bakateka wesunga baisa tulesa mku ya senda omulandu wakweba ati kino ekyalo kyesu bonse ba Gilbert Lusaniso teti balanda okweba ati bablani Mundubile tabawine olo 2040 kyakutyo tabakawine ba Lusaniso vote lyaboleka teri ngalenga bablani Mundubile bakano kuwina. Please, kwate ni language isuma okulanda kubane not okulalanda efintu byakwate mutampa okulakalisha abanenu then abanenu batampa okwasuka mubabike mu sales ba president ba Hakainde Hichilema ngabale kutikana ngutabale kutikana ngukulule kutika bakateka balanguage yabo tayawama bali kwata omusalula mukano kweba tuishi nga ali no opposition efyo balanda bakateka aba ngani sales bushe mufya shwashani baeoda basambilisha fish ku church pama language baleranda paba nabo bali kwata omusalula bamwamba mwalishi banangu mwana wa kuifyalira ngata ole mpero mchinshi nangu tetera kupero mchinshi lero fata tuafule omchinshi pantu nangu tatuami votere muri bakateka wesu nimo mureli dingo kwa batirimo ba president ba chalo chino tufule tuampero mchinshi please tuapapa teko muri bakateka kwateni language isuma pantu ababa Mundubile mlanda tema boys bakesa mteka mrefu epa tufikire nomba bakateka ni pali change mulande tamulandile nangu munga pitamo ifi mlanda kwati awo aba kunonga bai mwaya mulusaka mwale umwa mwimana kwati efe mwale uzinga abantu twaliraba bamayo bamumbipiri bali mu sales na mayo munabo ewarubuliro bamayo bamumbipiri balecho pali bamayo ba Edith na wakumpashwa bulele muchibote utuma video twalikwata tatwala baba akateka fyonse fye mwale bomba era bamwamba chimocho ndero mbako please sure pali bakambwiri bera bapere stay kulusana limo ifyalandire ulecho kwa bati awe limbi baleba bomfya tatulefwa kati baruzise bablani Mundubile twapapata please tatulefwa omuntu wakwisa mkutu senda mkanwa ukwati bale bomba pamona banani kane na ba UPND echo tulefwa ya efwe ni change na tuchula tulefwa okulubuka ba blani Mundubile tubalefu abatulubule ni ba blani Mundubile batulubulule fwema Zambian then ukwisa kuli mlandile poya kweba ati bambi bemine pera mpi bambi bemine pachola kwati fwe kulia kumnali mvotera ine kwa 38 zona kuli uwa pachola kansela noa umbialenda telpera mpi lelo ifwe tule ndama tule bebo kweba ati kansela ni pakachola Sylvester Mlenga MP Chinda ni pakachola bameya ni perampi bakateka ni perampi fwe bali mu structures please tento ebe abantu ifishinka pantu ba makebi zuru na bablani Mundubile bali ikere panshu kweba ati ba makebi barasenda Lusaka na Copper Belt tatulefwa efya kutampa kutaye njuga hapa please tuapapata tento bombe cha kweba ati tubombele chapa mupakupoka i second independent tubombe tupose kwa mano please mwe bantu nde mipapata lelo tuirabika mo tribalism one Zambia one nation ucha kweba ati tento bombe tuikatane lelo baba nesu nanga bangaleta tribalism panta fye basire fingi bakateka pali noshta tulio tumunga balesenda mu mkoshi bali firo kusenda message tabakwete yakweba abantu that's why nomba batampo kulalanda fye fight tribalism awe bale mipama awe bale tashani batapa nomba beka bale pama na beka so bera pesho kwati ba PF bale bapama bale pama na beka mulale bwino mbe bwino twatotera lesale misunga bamwamba tule milolero kwa fete pakafya mukesi mubombe bwino lesa mpale.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the cause. Please make a call. The remarks by Liswaniso are very grave. They must be probed. They are not simple remarks. And he's saying that they've crafted it Mundubile will not win? What have they crafted? What does it mean? And he's even saying that their president will be president up to 2041. Now, I thought that there was term limits. You know what Liswaniso say, it's not something to disparage or just take away. It's actually something that even requires formal criminal investigations. We saw his remarks on Bill 7. You know, he says whatever they will do, it will pass. Whether there's court, whether there's no court, it will pass. And we saw it passed because they used all things. I'll be closing the broadcast just on top of the hour. I'll not stay long. Yesterday, I'd allowed up to an hour of phone calls, but we will not stay that long. I'm trying to close the broadcast in the next 6 minutes. So let's take your calls, and if you have anything to say, you say it. But it's been a wonderful broadcast. You can watch it later and pick. You can watch it later and pick the elements that we talked about today. Vote, ballot security and vote protection becomes very, very important. And call now because I'll be closing the broadcast quite early. I've got an engagement, but we had a wonderful broadcast. You can rewind and watch later. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. You are Munkonge.
Mkwaiwa Munkonge.
Ambassador, kwena tatwana kyo kukonkomesha pali vote protection. Abantu twakwata mbabafula. Bonsa banenso abama president beshiri abakabalanda mali sources bakwetepo. Okumwona mishira baravula konga kuma constituents kamo barete ama ideas wangu abantu beshi bikwe abakala abakachita participate pakuchita protect ama votes lero abena Zambia abengina bena bakayiperesha lero kufiro kwa abantu abakwe bati bayishi bikwa pali ino ina ishita tukwete ndero mbako nakambi ba ambassador nga bafuma kuri wa pravantu kwisa kopa beweti basarangane kutwambyo kurasangwa na pama local radio stations kwambo kurafunda abantu kwambo kupitana baburo tundarama bakwete batufunye bako bati munchende monse mumishuma radio muramuine no kurande befine mulera nda ambassador fya kweba to muma sections muma polling stations ukubabika ko active abantu bakwata activity munchende mashino okuishibikwa mukampampa abantu abakachita participate pali vote protection indi ba ambassador kwena nalalanda nishkwete option ambassador fintu kuchirira bombo ambassador fyambire pano no nalikwete shuko yakura fikonga before nshirain details dero mbakonga bakwata ko ka break yakanono bazumani bamukandira na bapinwe mpundu bale yakuchirira bombo bapwisho obwafya ababantu nalanda batatu before isture chirira bombo eko aba Ministry of Mines usangwa na ba HH nshitayonsi so kura kuchirira bombwenga twakwata weakness kansa kutia ambira kura kuine baitwara na kumbi so ishintunguru shishi shipose kwa mano nishinarandire bali landiro kwe bati RP ARB kama candidates no kufikonka bali safikonka kabwenso fo akuchirira bombwe kurokwa baba owayiminina n'abakabuswe alisa rokubula certificate ya RP party ni ali kwa RPUP ali kongere kwa chitafao ama nani kana nominations pali certificate ya RP na MP wa konkura constituency na yena ali konke fifini na ba mayor bali konke fifini nomba bali abantu batanini ama certificate ya RPUP abo basikombe no yumbi mayor and so forth basaro kuiminina ma independent nombora basaro kuiminina ma independent uyumbi munina wa kwanso fo iminina independent as a mayor uyuna yena sikombe wali kuena RPUP bo bakene ama certificate na yena iminina independent uyuna yena mayor umwa icho wakwa MP uyu iminina para pina yena iminina independent nomba ba ambassador definitely tika pali poster imoni mbikutina miranga na bashita advertiser twara panga mega rally megalali chintu ichikulu sana muma elections atulekwata megalali yolo baitantika awama uyu MP independent aba pa posta ya megalali no yu mayor independent aba pa posta ya megalali olo basabura nomba munina wabo owayimirira pa RP bamubura eka babana batatu parapalera ng'omuntu RPMP baita pali simbo ya RP olo pabana mameya pabana MP independent pabana na mayor independent bapange timu bare bomfya simbo ishiri straight because barama independent tabali mu RPUP instead rumba ila mega ifire yakwata barama candidates wonza aba RP eba fire bapanga ila mega lali then bashita indoors ba Brian Mundubile as a president na ba Makeb Zulu as a vice president so ishen tunguru shisho shide yakuri abamwamba nefuna arandirefe because twali iko kuranda po yalifika na extent yakuri bati independent MPR chita withdraw romba kwali tunguru shisho sharungwire nshashirumburi apa mpamura baso kwe bati na chibano kuchita withdraw nombe intunguru shina inje bati yo imi nefe bafine independent so ababantu narumbura batatu bali very important bashumwamba murande nabo bari abawamye kura kuchirira bombo kuri important ukuchira twingira mu elections nishi turi muri confusion nomba twara station protect ama votes baraba independence tabashupire ngachako bati ntunguru sharanda na bena ama dezi ashere ko yengi bendere pamo bati tebatungirira abanabo ukuchirefe balero bare pera chance ba UPNG bakabusona abantu bawo so vote protection which means that quite up to now baba bike muoda kulya chwen tunguru shiba ambassador na rumbura shitatu babinwe mpundu n'abazumani n'abamukandira bari ababiki ama candidates banshi aba RP na ma independent because kwa bafi RP kulya na ma independent so nderanda pali RP na ma independent aba imina pa independent ni bara abali ku RP UP so shen tungurushi shitatunga shasa kopa belt na nguni phone ko kutiba bapanga conference ko babiki ababa iche muishira pantu bambya ma politics tabaye shibofo yaba na ma dangers ya ifyo tia stakozi ba president beso ba Brian Mundubile so eche ndero mbako ba ambassador na papata sana yewine megalale bai kanse because yara rufi abantu chitwa wanaora ma votes ya ba Brian Mundubile na pera mkwaye ba ambassador.
Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution. Hello caller. Hello caller. Hello caller. Please mute the other device. Mute the other device.
Hello?
Mute the other device. Make your contributions.
Hello. Daniel from Cape Town.
Daniel, make your contributions.
Thank you very much. I think some of the callers that are calling, sorry to say this, they are sounding so negative. As we've come a long way to come and air our negativity on this platform. Some of the things that they are mentioning, saying, okay, could you have a shida? Yes, we are careful. We also have our own plans that those who are coming with evil, whatever evil thoughts or whatever evil plans they have, they don't know our plans. So we maintain our positivity, and the only important issue we should start raising now is vote protection. Avena this one is they are cowards. They know that they are going. So a person who's desperate times calls for desperate measures. So they are saying anything to put fear in us, which we are not going to take at the moment. The statistics are showing that we are growing in numbers, so let's not be negative. And on protecting our votes, let's ensure that we sensitize and educate more youths on voter protection. I'm happy with the job that these youths dance on and the friends that are doing. I'm calling them the four musketeers, put them in that position to sensitize voters on voter protection than we dwell on negativity that yo abana abachitashani tien tuchiteshani oh unai sadi achiteshani. As our mandate is to bring people to the alliance to vote for us, not to whatever programs they've got, whatever they are going, they can't change the mood of the people. The mood of change is there and no one will change it, whether he's got plans or what. What they can do is just steal our votes. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Mr. Ambassador. Good evening. You are nameless.
By nameless, make your contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just a minute, Vamwamba. Yes, yeah, because it was on high voice, so I've just reduced it. Well, Vamwamba, there is a lot going on, and there is a lot also that we have heard about, all the politicians, other parties have also aligned, with the Tonse Pamosi Alliance, yes. The thing is, I'm just hoping and I'm appealing to all of them, if they mean well for Zambia, they should try and help out. Because there's a lot of negativity. Some people are so much against, but this is not the time that we should start fighting the people who have joined, the Tonse Alliance. We need to give them the support, and we need also to try and look forward to what we are looking out for. Lombanga tuayambo kulala ndati yo ava ave shile baleko afyokwe batibona ule ninji tapali chotulechita tufuira tuavika pona trust kumlandu wakwe bati ama politics bamwamba. Some of us, we are not politicians, but it's just common sense. Ama politics yalishupa sana ine kutina abatotela bonse ave shile kutina abatotela sana no kutotela bakambwiri bene nimbatotela lelo ndefo afyokulanda kukuli batata bakambwiri kwa batata bakambwiri na muisa elo mulina sana active na tumonefo mulechita muila bafire fya kwebati akachintu fitenga kalubana fepa nono mwakwate chifukushi ni tamule yafwa bose mwema politician, you are a group of people. Echo muilala bachakwebati mwali kwata the nation in your hands. Fue bantu ifo mufuire mwalole shapo no chukula ilole shomo mubelele mwala umana mufuire mwaikatana tuafwane bamwamba efo nachira fwa afyokula ndefini.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening. This is Didi from Ndola.
Didi from Ndola, make your contribution.
First, nalambira kuli entire tole jirenda na ba president na baba leba joina. Abaleba joina tubetotera kuli lesa bakwati omutima omo. Bakulu ishenkala mungana ingira mu kubo kwikatana. Bakulu itatenkala mu wishe atinkala mu ndi mu shinangu isongo na chisa pa chipanda bo kwikatana twala ikata chani bakabwalala ababeshire twala bepashani kubo kufa. So abapo nsabeshire bekwato omutima kushi kila muntu achitetola letu munanko fyaba bantu mukwenda filia kula bali mu mwakwesa no yati tanja suike bwino achiyambona kwati nshikwete amano bafuire bakwata omutima uyu mutima twakwata fwe batuma pali mu mutima twakweta wakuluisha ati ba makebi na ba Mundubile bomfani babe pamu bamfana na makebi anaka abomu nono ba Mundubile baba ba president ya mutima bakwate bakambwiri bera kwata omutima chachine muchitumbuka tulanda umutima wa befu atika alina kamutima ka befu so vera kwata kamutima kanono bale kwata omutima okulu lwa politician ifyaisa natumola balelondolola bena bachimba nabatwibukisha balebukisha nefyakale ifyo bakateeka balelaya nefyo baleba abantu nabafilondolola bwino sana kulya kukawambwa okubalondolola bwino sana abena kawambwa okuba ekinkula bwino mumukinfi mukubebe fyo bafuire bakwata mu brain yabo n'abakwata president afumine kumpolokoso bampolokoso babisha babeba kachimba bakumpolokoso balilondola sana bwino kumpolokoso okubeba bali abantu nena ali batotera bakuba nti bayafukana kumpolokoso bamonekera bakita support brother wabo efyo bonse balya abaeshire bonse balya abena Shon Tembo bakwata omutima bonse balya abena Katotobwe bonse balya bonse fya bali muri lya alliance bakwata omutima wakwata basinkamba I respect basinkamba bali kwata omutima wakubati nga balimina pachintu kuimina pachintu nalibombere sana nabo kwacha constituent basinkamba kufyo babomba nga mwabomba alliance that man is a man uiminina pachinka naisa kuli luswaniso oyo luswaniso nakwata maproblem sayengi etwaleti aya tole efyalanda timweba uku alebula tribalism alemunatinga yala mpuso heta mpuso she ile mchitabala ebale chitana di campaign wa president babali rapoku chita di campaign yabene kabili bafileta na kuba iche pantu inoshitanga nundi alepita papodia mukulala ndapali tribalism ngani kuli ababene fe badinta badina ba Mundubile inoshitanga tulevo mfu yamona fe bachitira malozo stone ukumufunya kuna kondo kwisoko kumuleta kulusaka kwensho omuntu kamuhoyi aba abantu bati balabale pitana nabe mina bali fye balelanda fye with ignorance tabeshi benefit abantu panshi abantu na basula kutumwabula ulolwimbo lwa imbo mulumendo yati kupoka n'okushima ala lulolwimbo nalirutemwa kupoka n'okushima waje nangu benga ndetera ine 200,000 nashani 13 teno ko bati iyo ndandi ati iyo nalaba botabala kuti napoka fena ashima nefitenge napoka nashima nafuala nakulya kuinena ya imini na nende kutikana cape red nishikungu pera kushati neni nebo Mundubile omuntu wakwa Mundubile so ifela ndaluswaniso lekeni bachitati campaign baluswaniso babo kwati nibani touchable apape ne kuchele muri 4 years kwena leso yo ala lesala chitefi papo anyway kula totela feresa bafire chitika fyonse fire chitaba abantu nabashaka funfwa tule totela feresa leso ule bachita expose ala lesa mukulu bamwambanga mwatangishe chintu lesa kuntanshi ala pela menso alesa la baliaba no byabesala abesala baba fechi bebe bala saba ila finish na bakupingira efira bebati abalwanyi bobe wibachita block nango ni ku Facebook abakupata wibachita block leka bamone okole apantanshi bakumone poko bati balabe ne bayisa mukulanda ati awe naba ni president nomba so ba makebi bashani bose beposa kona bano kulya baba lelo tefiroto lekeni firoto fibafishoko firefu aikwa bantu abantu nabasalama nofyo bapita mu abantu ifyo bapita mu kutapata there is no way wingala apa podium jonso lelanda pa bantu kumusalula mula mwana chabinga kulya bonse baja mausi sampa kutu muntu ayati ifata tuli wakawalala badaba wakawalala isi muntu abafe 100% bwino tewa mwikodi uyo kumana fa ababa tata kuwaya wayasi tapati ifyo baleti nje papoda munje mukulote firoto filia nayi mande tafe fyandi file taba kampanga mulenga who does that le muntu fo 100% nembwa nishina yonda bulldog na yonda bulldog ukonda le sapa pa live wapole ilanga kwati fyamana natani musite imwe bashele mwe bali muri ba Mundubile chiteni imwe chiteni protect chira muntu ukwaji atampi okufunda abantu ifya kuvota tutampi okulanda pama radio station filabatiranda ati okuya mukuvota ni pelampi pali brani Mundubile ne mukamona po pali lampi pali NRPUP mukasange fya pali fye lampi fye na Mundubile umuntu wakwe mwabika na X mukati noti yaba kunso yaba sport ukubafunda especially ababene abana besu abafiru fyenyi ebalefu kwa to abana diet ukubafunda okutiraka bavote efi bachitefi apa bachitefi noti ukula na ukolwa ilombe mna mukolwa mulamu kuchonge fya blokondo mwa chitafe fyobe mutolo wasa mkwibukisha kunse mukasa mukunwanishi na mufuma mwachita protect ya mavoti yenu ishiwe kuluba chiba kukitu oko icho chirongoma ichirongoma itule tino chire chirongoma chari bade katoshi chire chirongoma fo linga chirondore cho bachirala njanya kuti kuchirira bombo it's too late chimuna isa mwaita kuli bamwamba isa kuli mwachi bamwamba bulandu nombali shuri mukoti na bapingula balapingula maisa bamwamba bunga fuitisheko chikabe fine na mbere that means it's too late umuntu unganasala penshila nishi it's too late alwani pafo ba Mundubile ifo tutangishelesa pantanshi filafini abana balenda babe aba Mundubile na bamakebi balenda na lesa mumwana fe bachi bapokelela bwino kuri batata ba mwata kazembe ukubapokelela bwino sana monsomo bale abale bapokelela bwino sana no kwikala no kuyichefya no kutota kumfumu no ishishi bachavinga ngala tota kufunga ni mfumu ngayitina chavinga kumuyombe ishishibe bantu chavinga limini na kwatika limini na pachulu alera tafyefi roto fyakwe kumuyombe kudya chavinga naba yombe nabo imwe bayombe mule ufuko imwe bayombe muprikenge uko imwe mwazochenuka. Thank you ba mwambe.
Thank you very much, my dear sister. Thank you. We should be closing now. Let me just take the last two calls. Hello, caller.
Yes, good evening, Your Excellency Emmanuel.
Good evening, sir. Make your contribution.
Yes, let me briefly talk about the violence. You see, it's quite unfortunate that we do not realize that actually there's also violence at the UPND and the president himself. The reason why he likes making such divisive statements is for the whole purpose trying to whip the emotions of his supporters. Just like he makes decisive statements whenever he goes to his strongholds, saying that, I remember one time he mentioned and said that people were coming from western side, they would come and they would be beaten and they would be, something would happen very bad to them. They would be lucky if they go back and a finger being cut. Now, that is a very serious statement from the head of state. I don't know how we would interpret that. Just as most of the callers have to be mentioned, if it you could go straight into cells. The police will come in the fast and furious at the sonic speed to charge you with making a statement which are likely to cause the breach of peace or trying to bring the division in the nation. But for his Excellency the President and his supporters, they are very free to say anything, no matter how decisive it is. They go ahead and say that. That is where the source of violence is coming from. And they have not yet started, they didn't start from there. Even when they were in the opposition, they were very careless to make statements. And the President Lungu, the late President Lungu, may he so rest in peace, even if we haven't yet laid him rest. No one was arrested. They could say whatever they felt like saying. Today, when you say the same statement, they hunt you like no man's business. You remember what happened to Jackson? They killed Jackson, got planted somewhere in northwestern province. Where he went and said they hate you. Has he ever mentioned such things about that? No, they only mentioned this Mansa. According to Mosaic law, okay, anyone who sheds anybody's blood, that must be condemned. The blood of innocent is Amansama and Lawrence Banda, Jackson Ikungo. We even failed to mention about the two guys who were killed in Mirikanyama by Manoma. I don't know if anybody has been forgotten about it. Is it Joseph Kabunda and all those UPF cadres who were murdered by the UPND cadres? not because of the PF police, but the UPND cadres. When they were during the time of few days before elections in Kajama, they went and attacked their friends when they were cooking sheep. Joseph Kabunda and I don't know the Kasongo. Sometimes we will bring those pictures so that people can see. But you never saw the PF trying to move the coffins throughout the country. No. You never saw the PF trying to move around with the coffin of Joe Jackson. The president doesn't mention about all those people. As far as this is concerned, those are not blood. Those are not innocent blood. But a leader who is very concerned, who rule in the fear of the Lord, he should have always been condemning what happened to Samansam, what happened to Jackson Kungo, what happened to Joseph Kabunda, and all these things. Now we hear the people have been killed just for playing a song. Since when did the PF kill somebody who was playing civil servant Mwaliliam? When did the PF were so violent according to where they are portrayed to the Zambians, who killed the people who were playing Baba Mwankoni? And I don't know why we Zambians are always being cheated and with everything have been twisted. We have painted our mind to think that during that time of PF, whatever about that was happening to was PF. I remember Mama, you were being interviewed by the journalists, and let me mention this one. I'm very disappointed with the journalists even themselves. They are very quick to ask you about the violence of PF. They cannot ask the same question when cadres like Iliswaniso comes on there trying to justify defend their violence, to ask them about what the guy they killed in whatever in Johnny Lenke, the guy they took out they popped the eyes in Kabul. They were the beating of this guy from even their own card like this one Chibokoro was beaten. Another guy was beaten when they went to attack the secretariat. There have been all of those throws of violence, even the last 4 years from the time they came into power. I don't know whether journalists are able to ask any member of the PF, the UPND, whenever they come there, like the way they ask you about the violence that was happening during the time of PF. It can take time to mention the catalog of violence that has been perpetrated by the UPND cadres and the UPND themselves, the leaders, and they've never mentioned anything. You remember the violence that was happening in Ipwengwa after 2016 elections. People were beaten, the houses were burnt to ashes. Did the president condemn that during the time when he was in opposition? No, he could even come on the minute. No, we have got the right to defend ourselves. But when Bini Wampundu said the same statement, it is hate speech, it is fight statement. The police move in action and arrest them, but him was not arrested, and yet he claims he suffered this, he suffered that. All that is he does that deliberately to whip the emotion of his cadres and whatever. It is quite unfortunate, like what Mama mentioned that one time they said, Bushimama Zambia, whatever the President Hakainde says, that is the same thing they smear on others. That is actually what they do. Whatever they accuse others, that is what they plan to do. That is what they have been doing, and then to what they do.
Thank you, my brother. Let me take the last two calls. Thank you so much. Your views are very clear. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yes, caller. You are on now.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I'll remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contributions.
Okay. Before the contributions done, I think what is happening at the moment, kuliva UPND, and if you have learned that you then secondly, opposition, what needs to be done? You have to work on vote protection. During the time of voting, people should be vigilant. Any strange vehicle that is passing, or anything that is strange that is being seen, abamushi wonse balingira okubakita train n'okubeeba muwunze mubeeba kozi mumisha mubeeba votes. So the village headman should be told where I was to say abamushi the train police stations mumishi wonse mupite myotikano kandeke bakamuna. People should be there to watch what is happening. We should protect our votes in as much as possible so that they are not stolen. Nangwama lighting around that Tibashi, if right should be there share solar, so that everything otherwise the Lord is with us. We'll keep on praying and victory is ours. It is said that situations may come, challenges may come. We are not moved as Zambians and we are not shaken. We will prevail because the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob is always and will always be with us, and Zambia is a Christian nation. All we need to do is to pray and protect our votes when that time comes. The wind of change has already come in Zambia and nobody is going to change it.
Thank you very much indeed. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is with us indeed. Let me take the last caller and we are done for the day. Please, every time I leave you with the videos, watch the videos. They are very important. They are part of the broadcast and they also communicate something that that you should pay attention to. Okay, I guess we'll see you tomorrow or Friday. We've had a wonderful broadcast and we'll speak to you tomorrow.
Nkombete nku Ipongo ward, one of the wards in Kembe West. So in the Saku area nkubeta ikunkala. But chankankamika nowe ni miko. Ichi chomutogo na pisule yangu. Amuseko mamiyangi. Chikolo, ichi chikolo. Chile tiarutekila pa grade 1 mpaka pa grade 7. So chomutogo na ichi chikolo amadeski ngaya aboma. Ngaya amadeski aboma. So mboba shite wantu kuno batopenge kanabo. But yet we have CDF in the coffers of government. We have people that have been assigned to work kwamba ishishikolo bana besukabe yakabutu free education kwamba isekabutu kabutu, but this is not going to be tolerated. Tulete kwamba tuchiteko shintu shipuse nemo kwamba ichiro bana besubake yakabutu mbuli ndime nembi kila amuse mubone mbaba tokwira abantu amuse mubone yino njo classroom ino. Ino classroom muba tokwira bana chikolo ino. This is a classroom. You call this a school. Injo board njo tokwira. Ngama desk. This is my desk niko kabo tunga yale mbetwe. Kembe CDF 2022. So CDF bakare tama desk bale taunenka muno mu class muto oboneka so. And yet people are claiming to work. That's why nebo ndamba kwamba as incoming council chairperson ndete kusebenzela pa pomwi aba MP kwamba ikusebenzeka within area itabete wakula area tabete kula fupafu pankala pafu ifa. But look at how our children are suffering. Moba tokwira muno teacher kuli ama teachers kubali aside kuno kusamkwisha mushikolo mulisheshi 61 years after independence tujipenga like this. Amone so chikolo ichi so chikolo ichi people are learning like that. It is a pity that our children are being exposed to such. No wonder we need proper leadership. Mali doesn't cover. Bakasangwa abantu. People that voted for those that were put in power to lead them and to help them. But look at this. Takutoleka kuoneka kwamba kuno kuliwa government I'm sure nchikumbu huko kuno kote wetu. You see what this?
Uli na menso amone. Uli na matuna nkonfwe. Ifyo mpasha kwa le saule sosa. Kalanda kudu yo akwashe nyari no kuifisa. Banta washe nyari awifisa iyo. Kuvyala no kusombola mwebe na Zambia. Ichili chose chali kwete chita ya chikope samba ja chalo. Muikalisha mufi lamba mulelila kuwacha no bwaila. Sangeni chita ya kubeba mukusheleza bachalo chalo. Ulubuto na lumona. Ulo ako akazu ako ikweshela vepanono inyaliena yalasanika uno butona lumona uno ako akasu ako ikweshela vepanono inyaliena yalasanika nangwa manja ya pulolu kyangono kukakawa kayele ichetekele inyaliena yalasanika imotikatane tutemwane tutamvye mwenzaka vinga atochosha muno likalanga bana banjiwa inenesa na mumona apabula vemba ikweshana vipanono inyaliena yalasanika ukubokona kumona apabula vemba tabuke ikweshana vipanono yalasanika.
We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate, speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV.